Put in your password for that.
Good evening, and welcome to the Township Committee meeting of February the 12th, 2019. Ms. Borick, will you please call the roll?
Committeewoman Holmes.
Here.
Committeeman Lapani.
Here.
Committeewoman McCauley. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Here.
Mayor Delcor.
Here.
Administrator Ferreira.
Here.
Attorney Willard.
Here.
Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be advised that in accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, that notice of this meeting was made by the posting at the bulletin board at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex and notifying the officially designated newspapers that this meeting would take place at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex at 7:30 p.m. on February the 12th of 2019. As we move to our agenda tonight, we have no minutes, so we'll move directly to reports from committee liaisons. First up, Committeewoman Holmes.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
A few weeks ago, I attended along with Mayor Delcor, Mayor Delcor and Sean Lapani. We went to the Hillsborough Fire Company 38 installation dinner. It was a good time for all. We danced, we ate, and everyone had a good time. I also attended an art show at Assemblyman Roy Fryman's office. He had artwork done by elementary school children, and they were all awarded with assembly resolutions. Okay, some of our boards and commissions are still reorganizing. I recently met with the Sign Review Committee, and I also met with the Historic Preservation Committee. The chair for the Historic Preservation Committee is Greg Gillette. Vice Chair is Timothy Coyle Sr. and Secretary Timothy Stollery. The Sign Review Committee, the chair is Kevin Sweeney, vice chair is Charles Ruggieri, and the secretary is Matt Jeezy. Okay. And last but not least, I've continued my journey through the township, meeting with the different departments that I haven't yet met with. And again, it's been informative. Everyone has been so kind to give me their time, and I have such a better knowledge of what each department is responsible for. And we run a really good ship here, as I see from meeting everyone, and it's been a pleasure. So I want to thank all the people that have taken the time out to help. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Committeeman Lapani.
Thank you, Mayor. Recently, I attended the reorg of the Credit Card Advisory Committee. Maria Volio was, once again, is the chair, and our own Pam Bork was the vice chair, and Barbara Merdinger was the secretary. Stay tuned for some good work coming from that, as usual, from the Credit Card Advisory Committee. The building department has asked me to announce the implementation of a new computer operating system. During this transition, we ask for your patience. On February 28th, the building department will be open, but will be unable to accommodate any computer-based operations for this day only as the transition takes place, which includes scheduling of inspections, issuing permits, printing of construction-related documents, etc. We are working diligently to continue the highest level of customer service. Please make sure you plan accordingly so you're not coming that day in need of some paperwork. Obviously, this transition to this system, in talking with our department, is to create a more transparent system that everyone can view what the permitting process is going on in town. So that's a win for everybody in the township. So please stay patient for that. They also are extending the Amnesty program to residents, business owners, running until February 28, 2019. This program will excuse residents and business owners from getting penalized for having open permits, having previously work done without permits, failing to obtain a certificate of occupancy, and/or have an expired temporary certificate of occupancy. If you visit the building department with this allotted time frame, we will assist you in gaining compliance for your projects. Permit fees will be applicable, but again, you will not be penalized for non-compliance. So I wouldn't, you have till the end of February to do that. From DPW, who is obviously out working hard right now, keeping our roads clean for this non-event storm that seemed to linger. Once again, our weathermen seem to nail the storm again this year. Can't get it right. Public Works has filled over 2,500 potholes from the end of December to the present time. Main roadways are, of course, the priority as the higher speeds create more significant impact when a pothole is struck, and obviously more chance of damage to the vehicle and/or accident. Despite the wet weather, the department is doing the best that they can to do as much as they can during these conditions and with a quality patch. So please be patient. We know that there are some roads that need to be repaired. The annual cleanup program will begin soon. We are working with a new online provider to facilitate the registration system for the township cleanup, which will take place at our Auten Road site. Online registrations will be available starting in March. Seniors 65 and older, as usual, will be able to pick up their coupons for curbside cleanup at the Public Works building between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2 p.m., Monday through Friday, starting March 1st. Residents are reminded to visit the Public Works link at the Hillsborough Township website for all information pertaining to the department, including these upcoming programs. From the Finance Department, a reminder again that March 1st is the deadline for renewing your dog license without a late fee. Your dog rabies vaccine must be valid through October 2019. If your vet feels it's too soon to vaccinate your pet, please provide a note stating that, and the license can be issued. Don't forget that you can renew your dog licenses online at no cost at www.hillsborough-nj.org under the How Do I section. A couple more things, Mayor. News from the Hillsborough Business Advocate and the HBA. Save the date for April 11th. They'll be at the Affinity Credit Union. We'll host a joint networking event, so stay tuned for more details on that. On piggyback on that, as a reminder, new improvements were made to the Shop Hillsborough program. FinCredit, the administrator of the program, is upgrading the systems by replacing the old terminals with an Android system, and which will allow merchants to scan a QR code. The merchants will use these devices to process your property tax credits. Please visit the www.hillsboroughbusiness.org for directions to download your card's QR code onto your smartphones or physically attach one to your card. Additionally, merchants will need to input your registered phone number on our card ID. The new system is totally paperless, therefore a receipt will be sent to your registered email address. Remember, you can always check your balance on your account at www.propertytaxcard.com. And the engineering update. The engineering department would like to remind residents that due to the extreme weather conditions, wet, rain, and freezing cold temperatures, some piping must be properly discharged. The engineering department has received numerous calls, some pump discharges impacting the roadways. Essentially, that's water coming onto the road from your sump pump and freezing. The township understands that the use of sump pumps is necessary during times of wet rain conditions, and this is understandably necessary. However, it is the sump pump discharges ice on roadways. The township may ask for you to sump pump your discharge to a different location to avoid causing a safety hazard in the street. If this discharges ices just to the shoulder of the roadway, which is considered the gutter, the first 3 to 4 feet, that is acceptable. Unfortunately, homeowners who live downhill may have an ice in front of their shoulder/gutter of their homes, but again, this is considered acceptable. Shoulders/gutters are meant to convey water runoff and can freeze during cold weather events. Providing the icing does not extend into the traveled way, creating safety concerns to the traveling public, adjoining residents, and must understand some pump discharge to the roadways in some cases may be better than to pump onto the lawn, which is due to frozen ground conditions, may flow toward the adjoining downhill homeowner's home, creating a greater concern. So essentially, we need to decide which way is the best way to send your water, whether into the street or on your lawn. But only in the street if it stays in the gutter, to make that into a short, condensed version of what I just said. Without, the engineering department, they always got to make it longer than it needs to be, so I'll give you the layman. So neighbors should look to work together to minimize impacts during extreme weather conditions. A recently created township ordinance does not allow discharge to the street of new construction. However, any previous discharges have been grandfathered and permitted. From the library, the SCL-SNJ create Valentines for veterans. Photograph attached. Throughout the month of January, patrons and staffs of the Somerset County Library System of the New Jersey SCL-SNJ Hillsborough Library Branch made over 200 Valentines for the veterans at the VA Hospital in Lyons. Picture is Brandon Campbell, 3, of Hillsborough crafting a Valentine for a veteran. For more Valentine's Day crafts and programs at your library system, visit sclsnj.libnet.info/events. Social media marketing with Facebook for your small business at this Hillsborough Library, was held on Wednesday, February 27th at 7 p.m. This is a free event from our business community, and for our business community, please visit the library website to register. And lastly, Mayor, I just have a statement that's come from that I'll read, that comes from the Ethics Board. This goes back to 2017. Just prior to the 2017 general election, ethics complaints were filed with the Hillsborough Township Ethics Board and against then Deputy Mayor McCauley, Township Administrator Fiera, and Township Clerk Bork. These complaints contained various allegations of violations of the local government ethics law by McCauley, Fiera, and Bork, based on Fiera and Bork's decision to list their respective homes for sale with McCauley, who is a longtime friend and local real estate agent in town. Following hearings before the Hillsborough Township Ethics Board, the board found the complaints lacked merit, with no evidence to substantiate the allegations of ethical violations or conflicts of interest on the part of McCauley, Fiera, and Bork. Furthermore, the complaints appealed to the Hillsborough Ethics Board's decision to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs Local Finance Board late last year. The State Local Finance Board likewise found no credible evidence to substantiate the complaints and determined that McCauley, Fiera, and Bork did not violate the local government ethics law. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things. First, there was the reorganization of our Hillsborough Youth Services Committee. Had the opportunity to swear them in. Reverend Wolf will be the chair of that committee. Also had the opportunity to swear in the Environmental Commission. As you know, Deborah Boyer will be serving as that, which is a mayoral appointment for this year. So I want to congratulate everyone who was sworn in for new terms. Also, I want to mention that I, too, along with Olivia, was at Assemblyman Fryman's art show. It was a great event and very honored to be there. From the police department, residents are reminded to protect themselves from becoming a victim of personal property theft in their vehicles. Keep your vehicles locked at all times and remove valuables. If you must leave a purse or other valuables in your vehicle, at least lock them in your trunk where they are out of sight. But it is better not to leave valuables in your car. This is one of those common sense things that sometimes we forget, but just to be safe. From our health department, they are distributing free radon test kits. The health department is offering a free blood pressure clinic as well on Thursday, February 21st from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. in recognition of February as Heart Health Month in the side multipurpose room. The clinic is for township residents over the age of 18. The clinic is a kickoff of several blood pressure clinics to be held throughout this year. There will also be information about how to determine your risk for heart disease and how to prevent a heart attack, and stroke registration is not required for this clinic. From the Rec Department, spring is just around the corner, and the 2019 Parks and Recreation Spring Activities Guide is full of great programs for all ages. We have tennis, golf, skateboarding, adult volleyball, and bocce ball, just a few of the many activities that are being offered this year. Registration is open, and more details can be found on the Parks and Recreation website. And if you want to keep your kids active this summer, you can send them to the Parks and Recreation Summer Camp. The camps run from June 24th through August 16th for children age 5 to 13. We also offer Tiny Camp, ages 4 to 5, who have not yet finished kindergarten. Registration is open to, and more details can be found on the Parks and Recreation website. I was a longtime camper here in the township through the Parks and Rec program. It was a lot of fun, so I encourage anyone to take advantage of it. And from our Sustainable Hillsborough, since 2014, Hillsborough Township has collaborated with Rutgers Cooperative Extension on the 319H Clean Waters Act grant from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection on several projects that have engaged the community to adopt green infrastructure practices that have helped reduce flooding and clean water in the Royce Brook. Numerous projects were completed, including the municipal complex rainwater garden, the rain garden rebate program, the Westcott and Amwell Road detention basin retrofit, and phase 1 of the Fox Chase Pond restoration project. The Rutgers Cooperative Extension is inviting participants to take a survey. The purpose is to determine the influence of incentives and barriers to the residential rain garden rebate program and impacts of the rain garden rebate program here in Hillsborough, along with any influence of municipal rain gardens. Participants who complete the survey will receive a chance for a random drawing of $50 gift certificate to a local Hillsborough restaurant. The landing to take the survey on email will be sent out through the Hillsborough Township e-news or visit sustainablehillsborough.com. The rain garden survey will focus on increasing adoption of the green infrastructure practices that help reduce flooding and clean water. The random drawing $50 will be for the Hillsborough restaurant and will be later, 2 months from now, I think. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. A couple items tonight I wanted to touch upon. First of all, I'd like to thank our DPW guys for getting out on the road tonight. You know, we do have a fairly full house tonight, but a lot of people were home today, so making sure that the roads are clear so that everybody can get to wherever they need to go. So days like this, they end up working pretty long days, so I just want to thank them for their efforts in getting the roads cleaned. Last month, I got the opportunity to speak to 2 Boy Scout troops together, PAC 1776 and PAC 389. They're working their way towards the Arrow of Light Award, which requires they meet with a community leader and talk about the responsibilities of the job. So I got to tell them all about the Township Committee and the mayor's role. Always great to talk to the scouts. They ask great questions, and they seem to be genuinely interested in what I had to say. I hope that was the case. They could have just been faking it, but overall it was a good session. As noted, we had the installation dinner for the Woods Road Firehouse late last month, and I just wanted to also thank them for inviting us, but also to congratulate. I had the opportunity to swear in the executive and the line officers, the trustees, as well as the lady auxiliary, and it's a great thrill to be able to swear them in. They do tremendous work. The firemen, of course, all the volunteer efforts they do, but the officials that run the firehouses have an extra duty that they take on to support the firehouse. So I just want to thank them for the opportunity to swear them in on that evening. Also had another grand opening here in town on Saturday, February 2nd. Myself, along with the deputy mayor, got the opportunity to meet with Gymboree playing music. They had their grand reopening, relocated to 256 Route 206 over in the across the old Kmart Shopping Center. I'd like to thank Liz Clark for hosting the event, inviting us to cut the ribbon over there. Also had the opportunity to participate in the awards ceremony for the Winter Guard Festival that was at the high school. On that same evening, February 2nd, Superintendent Schiff was there as well, participating. We got an opportunity to see a couple of really amazing performances from some of the high school kids and give out the awards for the event. So thank you for allowing me to participate in that. We've talked the last couple of meetings about the Lewis Bay Scholarship. I just wanted to remind everyone, Hillsborough Township along with the school district, are partnering so Hillsborough students can participate in the Lewis Bay II Future Municipal Leader Scholarship Competition. And the purpose of the scholarship program is to advance the virtues of elected and volunteer positions in municipal government while raising awareness in municipal government in general. And the Lewis Bay Scholarship Competition will offer up to 3 $1,000 scholarships statewide. The deadline for the applications is March 19th of 2019. Completed applications should be sent to the Hillsborough Township, to the mayor's office, and information regarding the scholarship opportunity can be found on the Naviance program utilized by the school district, and we'll also have it in Friday's e-news. In addition, information can be found at the guidance office at the high school. So always good to try to get additional scholarship money. So any students that want to participate, I certainly would hope you get your application in. Another save the date, the annual Hillsborough Community Night at the New Jersey Devils. This event is being co-hosted by PBA 205, and it's a fundraiser for Special Olympics of New Jersey, as well as the family of the late Sergeant Fred Wacker. It will be held on Friday, March the 1st, and tickets are available now. If you want to know how to get tickets, we'll have information on the upcoming e-news. We also had it in last week's e-news for anyone that wants to join us. Again, that's Friday, March the 1st, our Hillsborough Community Night at the New Jersey Devils. And to make sure everyone can stay connected, as always, you can join us on our Friday e-newsletter, and we also send notices out via Twitter. We have our TV 29 and Hillsborough YouTube channels, which showcase these meetings and the Hillsborough Good Life episodes, and we also have our Swift Reach 911 for traffic and emergency notifications. Obviously comes in very handy on days like this. So if you haven't signed up for Swift Reach 911, I urge you to do so you can make sure you're fully up to date on any traffic and emergency issues. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to our proclamations tonight. We ask that after you receive your recognition, if you could please return to your seat. We will pause after all the recognitions are complete to allow for an orderly departure. And we'll hope you stay, but we'll give you an opportunity to leave at that point. So first up, we are very fortunate in Hillsborough. We've had two of our women citizens in town here will be recognized as part of the Somerset County Outstanding Woman of the Year program. First up, I'd like to call up Melissa Almendinger. Hillsborough resident Melissa Almendinger is to be honored with the Environmental Initiatives Award at the annual Outstanding Women in Somerset County Awards Dinner on March the 29th, 2019, in celebration of Women's History Month. Ms. Almendinger is currently the Community Garden Coordinator at Duke Farms. She graduated from Cook College at Rutgers University with a degree in Natural Resource Management. Melissa was a former Executive Director of the New Jersey Invasive Species Strike Team, and she served as a coordinator of Duke Farms Community Garden since 2014, which the garden is a 5-acre allotment-style community garden. She manages nearly 500 individual garden members and runs an extensive education program teaching approximately 50 classes per year on organic gardening. She's created a donation program whereby organic produce is donated to local food banks and shelters, providing over 4,100 pounds in 2018 and over 12,000 in the last 4 years. Melissa also created accessible gardening spaces for gardeners with physical challenges. She maintains a mini homestead growing vegetables, berries, fruit trees, and native plants, and raises a flock of backyard chickens. Ms. Almendinger instituted the Hillsborough I Run program at Triangle School and was a former board member of Steps Together. In furtherance of her sustainable initiatives efforts, Melissa Almendinger and her husband will be contestants in an upcoming episode of HGTV's Flea Market Flip, which showcases repurposing flea market items. The Hillsborough Township Committee joins the Somerset County Commission on the Status of Women in saluting Melissa Almendinger for being honored with the Environmental Initiatives Award and thank her for her dedication and community involvement here in Hillsborough. Melissa, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor and committee. I'm so lucky to live in this town where you guys take the time out to recognize people and the things that they do, and it's really, really special. I'm also so lucky to work at Duke Farms, where, you know, the environment, there's a lot of stuff going on in our environment, and, you know, we do a lot of great things at Duke Farms, but growing your own food is something that I am so lucky to be able to work with, teach people to do, and everybody really can do their part in growing some food in their own backyard. So I'm so honored to be here tonight. Thank you so much.
Proclamation around.
Okay, we have another award recipient. She may be familiar to some of you here. Can I call up Pamela Borak? The only problem is we need somebody else to take a picture. Hillsborough Township Municipal Clerk and resident Pamela Borak is to be honored with the Government Public Social Service Award at the annual Outstanding Women in Somerset County Awards Dinner on March the 29th in celebration of Women's History Month. Ms. Borak has served as the Hillsborough Township Municipal Clerk since December of 2012. She graduated from Scranton University with a Bachelor of Science in Marketing and obtained a Master's in Business Administration from Fairleigh Dickinson. She has served on the Hillsborough Municipal Alliance since 2012 and been Vice Chair since 2015. The Municipal Alliance is dedicated to substance abuse prevention and education with a particular focus on the awareness of school-age children, for school-age children. Ms. Borak has been involved in Borough Safe, which is the Borough Suicide Awareness for Everyone program since 2015. Here in the township, she serves as the OEM Deputy Public Information Officer and Communications Director. She served on the Credit Card Advisory Committee and been Vice Chair since 2014. And the Commission administers the Hillsborough Rewards Credit Card Program, which has a grant application process which provides grants to local nonprofit organizations serving youth and senior citizens. She's also been involved in our CERT program, which is a Community Emergency Response Program since 2016, and that's a program that educates volunteers about disaster preparedness and trains volunteers in basic disaster response skills. She's taken an active role in supporting Hillsborough Township students, active in the Hillsborough High School REACH internship program, the Hillsborough High School sub-team, and the Hillsborough High School Shop 2 program. She leads the collaboration with administration in implementing the REACH internship program with over 13 Hillsborough Township departments and the Board of Ed. The mentoring program provides valuable work experience, and the Shop 2 program involves members of the shop class designing and building various project upgrades for the municipal building. The Hillsborough Township Committee joins the Somerset County Commission on the Status of Women in saluting Pam Borak for being honored with the Government Public Social Service Award and thank her for her dedication to the township and the community. Pam, thank you. She rarely likes to get in front of the microphone. I'm very embarrassed right now.
Yes, this is so out of my, my comfort zone. So thank you, Mayor Delcourt, committee, and the coworkers that I have here at the municipal building. I am truly humbled and honored by this, this recognition. I always say I'm very fortunate. I love what I get to do every day, and to be recognized for it is just above and beyond. So again, thank you very much. Congratulations, Melissa. I look forward to sharing that evening with you, and I can't wait to hear about your episode on HGTV because we can have a viewing party. I'm very excited. But thank you very much, everyone, and the support of my family. I wouldn't be able to, you know, be here as much as I am without the support of my children and my mom. So thank you.
some people you want to get in the photo?
With the
Are you
kids
some
up?
people you want to get in the photo?
Yeah, you should come up too.
Boys
And mom.
and mom. So excited.
Oh, you should have kissed him on camera, come on.
We have another employee slash former employee to recognize this evening. Can I call up Dr. Glenn Belnay? So longtime Hillsborough resident, Dr. Glenn Belnay, has diligently worked for Hillsborough Township for 45 years. He's a licensed health officer, licensed professional planner, AICPA certified, and holds an advanced specialty certification in environmental planning. He has a bachelor's degree in environmental science, a master's degree in city and regional planning, and a doctorate in environmental planning and policy from Rutgers University. Dr. Belnay has been an adjunct faculty member at the Rutgers Blaustein School of Planning and Public Policy for over 20 years, teaching graduate and undergraduate students the public health, planning, and public policy disciplines. He received the Jerome Rose Distinguished Teaching Award from Rutgers University as well. He has served Hillsborough Township in various capacities, beginning with the Registered Environmental Health Specialist in 1974. He's also served as Health Officer, Planning Director, and Recreation and Social Services Director. But for the past 42 years, he served as our Health Officer. Dr. Belnay was awarded the New Jersey Municipal Managers Association Dr. Thomas Davey Academic Achievement Award. He has served as a lead person for many high-profile projects resolving customer service conflicts for residents and is viewed within the municipality, as well as by surrounding municipalities, as a subject matter expert in many areas of health and environmental issues. The Hillsborough Township Committee recognizes Dr. Belnay for his outstanding service to Hillsborough Township for the past 45 years. The committee, along with municipal employees, thank Dr. Belnay for his service to the residents of Hillsborough and wish him well as he ventures off into retirement after 45 years of service to the municipality. He has been a tremendous asset to this township. He will be missed, but I think he's paid his dues, and it's about time we let him go enjoy himself a little bit. I know he'll tell you how much he loves his job, but 45 years is a wonderful run, and you will be missed. And I wish you all the best in your retirement.
It truly has been a wonderful run. I've seen such great changes in this township and have had the privilege of being a part of many of them. When I came here, there were more cows than people. But look at us now. It's a magnificent community. I've called it home for the last 46 years. It's going to be really hard not to come here every day, but my bride of 45 years out there, Diane, has insisted that we go and start to enjoy. So thank you all very, very much. This is my college sweetheart.
I also just wanted to recognize, real quick, Hillsborough has been recognized for New Jersey's leading infrastructure project award, which is the Route 206 bypass in Hillsborough. You can come down. So we've been recognized by the New Jersey Alliance for Action regarding the Route 206 bypass in Hillsborough, and the note is in recognition of Hillsborough Township's contribution to the Route 206 bypass project in Hillsborough, signed by Philip Beecham, the president of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. So I know Tom has put a lot of time in. This has been a long time coming for this project. We are nearing the end. But it's nice to be recognized for the progress that's being made, and I look forward to the day when we can say that it's officially open and complete. So it's coming relatively soon.
I just want to say that I've been involved with the bypass for 32 years since I started here. So. I know engineering takes, like Committeeman LaPani said, engineering does take a long time, but roads take a long time.
Okay, we have one final presentation this evening. Before we get to Dr. Schiff, I'd like to just again thank all of our recipients this evening. It's always nice to know how many wonderful volunteer people we have in town, and the work that gets done here, both employees and volunteers, is really something special. So, congratulations to all. I do want to move on to Board of Education presentation from Dr. Schiff. Some of you may know we do have a referendum coming up in March, so we wanted to give Dr. Schiff an opportunity to talk about the referendum, and so I'll turn it over to him.
Great. Thank you so much, Mayor and members of the Township Committee. Tonight what I'd like to do is to kind of give you an overview of our Investing in the Future initiative, and then talk a little bit more specifically about the March 12th referendum. So we have a brief video that gives a nice overview. Here we go.
We're embarking on a very exciting time at Hillsborough Township Public Schools. Our student achievement levels continue to impress both statewide and nationally. Districts throughout New Jersey and around the country look to Hillsborough for classroom best practices and curricula and programmatic innovations. Hillsborough is known as a community in which you want to raise your children. Families move here for our schools. As we continue to grow, both as a community and as a leading school district, our facility needs are significant. We also recently concluded our strategic planning work. Part of this work included reviewing our facilities and school programming and discussing how we can move forward. Now is the time for us as a community to begin exploring ideas and to start talking about investing in our future, investing in our students and investing in Hillsborough schools. We are excited to begin the conversation with the Hillsborough community regarding upcoming referenda. Some of the changes and ideas that were discussed during strategic planning were subtle and have already been implemented throughout the district. Other ideas are a clear indication that the community is charting a new course for present and future Hillsborough students. These ideas can be broken down into 4 main needs for our district. long-term financial stability, full-day kindergarten for our youngest learners, facility improvements and security upgrades, and a new high school. Recently, the state of New Jersey announced they will reduce state aid to Hillsborough Township Public Schools by $5.3 million over the next 6 years. In addition, the district is restricted to a 2% tax cap, while costs outside of the district's control continue to exceed this limit. By addressing this fiscal need, Hillsborough Schools will ensure its long-term financial stability. The district will be able to maintain current programming and class sizes, provide student courtesy busing, and continue athletic opportunities without pay-to-play fees. A full-day kindergarten program will allow us to spend additional time with our youngest learners. It will also lessen the effects of our state aid reduction by enabling us to receive full funds for these students rather than only partial funding. 90% of New Jersey districts have full-day kindergarten. We are one of only 3 districts in Somerset County with a half-day program. New Jersey student learning standards for kindergarten are more easily met when children are in school for a full day. District-wide facility improvements will provide all of Hillsborough students, teachers, and staff with a comfortable learning environment, while security upgrades will enhance the safety of those in our schools. Maintaining quality facilities is fundamental for our children and the staff and teachers who spend over 8 hours a day in our buildings. A new high school will ensure that our oldest students are not learning in overcrowded classrooms, have ample space to gather, and are provided with the facilities to explore programs and classes that we currently are not able to house. Strong schools and strong communities are integrally connected. These 2 upcoming referenda will allow Hillsborough Township Public Schools to continue to invest in our future, the future of our students, and the future of our community. For more information on the upcoming March 12, 2019 and Fall 2019 referenda and to provide your input, please visit the district's website at www.htps.us. And please remember to vote on March 12, 2019.
Because that hopefully kind of gives you a general overview of our investing in our future. But I'd like to drill down a little bit more into this upcoming referendum that's scheduled for March 12th. I'm going to reinforce some points from there, and I'm also going to expand and get into a little bit more depth on some other points. Again, this is for full-day kindergarten program. And as was said before, only about 10% of the entire districts in this state, and there's close to 600 of them, only 10% do not currently have full-day kindergarten. We're very much in the minority. The standards for kindergarten are actually much easier met if you have more than twice the time in order to do that. So it is more difficult for us to meet those New Jersey state learning standards in a half-day program versus a full-day program. What's very important is that our state aid calculation is based upon a per pupil expenditure, but a half-day kindergarten program is counted as half a student, not a full student. So if we have a full-day kindergarten, it actually assists us in dealing with the state aid reduction that was discussed briefly in the video that you saw. But it's not just for full-day kindergarten. It's also for our short-term and long-term financial stability as a district. I've been sharing with the board for close to 6 years now that we are on an unsustainable path, that with a tax cap of 2%, while costs continue to go above that 2% cap, costs that are outside of the board's control, it's unsustainable. We cannot continue to maintain our programs under this circumstance. But if this wasn't bad enough, we found out this summer that Hillsborough is going to be losing close to $5.3 million of state aid over the next 6 years. That's significant. That's not something that we can adjust or maintain. That would require significant reductions in services, programs, people, increasing fees, and also looking at courtesy busing as well. And this is very frustrating for us because we run a very efficient district. According to the State Comparative Spending Guide, Hillsborough Township Public Schools spend $657 less than the average district per pupil. That's for every single student. We spend less than we spend $657 less than the average district. Think what we could do for our children if we actually spent what the average district spends in the state of New Jersey. But even with this efficiency, we're viewed as being over-aided. So we have this referendum on March 12th to try to help us close these gaps and provide additional programs for our youngest learners. It's approximately $8 million. That $8 million levy increase, $3 million of it will fund full-day kindergarten, and $5 million will fund our financial stability. As a result of the tax increase, the 2019 tax would increase about $25 per month for the average home. And this is based upon a rateable in November. So as we get closer to the referendum, we'll have an updated rateable to see if that will change. Now, if it doesn't pass, in fact, I spent some time at our last board meeting yesterday discussing with the board that the range of staff reductions is approximately 50 positions in the district. That's what the board is beginning to contemplate. It will increase class sizes. We will have to consider increasing fees for technology, for things like co-curricular activity, pay to play, also building use fees. We will also need to consider looking at courtesy busing as well. And these reductions for state aid continue over the next 6 years. So if this isn't passed, we're going to be in the hole once again next year by $1 million, and then 4 or 5 years after that by significant funds. So that kind of gives you an overview of where this March 12th referendum is. And I would be happy to answer any questions from the township.
Thanks, Dr. Schiff. I guess the one question I have is maybe you could just expand a little bit. Based upon the gap over the next 6 years as you see it, how does that translate to 50, give or take, positions? That seems like a large number for, not to say 5.3 million over 6 years is not significant, but I'm not sure how that translates to.
Well, our challenge isn't just the state aid reduction. Our challenge is also costs that continue to rise above the 2% levy. Specifically, healthcare is rising close to 12%, and we market our healthcare to other private healthcare carriers. In fact, we're in a private healthcare carrier now, and our increase is going to be 12%. That's close to $12 million. It's actually not the cost, it's the increase every year that is very, very difficult to manage. We've also depleted surpluses in order to maintain our class sizes as a result of this. Special education is some of the most important investments that we make in the district for children that have significant learning needs. Those increases are 4 to 6%, not just in Hillsborough, but statewide. So the change of state aid, the movement of state aid that's going on right now in the state, is going to move $600 million from a third of the districts to the other 2/3 of the districts in the state of New Jersey. And it's going to have significant impact on us. Every district has a unique story to tell about this. Our story is that our enrollment hasn't changed significantly. In fact, our enrollment is a little bit higher than what it was 6 years ago when our state aid, we were actually under-aided by $13 million. 6 years later, we're over-aided by $5.3 million. That type of volatility is very, very difficult to manage. It puts huge pressures on school boards and taxpayers as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from the dais? Any questions?
So I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So how much in state aid did we lose this year?
Current year, $300,000.
300,000.
Right,
Okay.
and that was, by the way, after the budget was struck. That was after July 4th weekend when the state government was shut down.
Yeah.
It was shut down because of this particular law. So, yes, $300,000.
Okay, so we lost
Unanticipated reduction.
300,000. But we were already in the hole for this budget, no matter what. I mean, that loss in state aid really didn't make a difference, right? I mean, no matter what, you'd be having to go out for a referendum this year or make drastic cuts.
One of the two. Yes, that's correct, even without it. But with it, at this point, this referendum, if it passes, we would not have to go out to future referenda in order to adjust the general fund levy. That's the important part of how full-day kindergarten helps us deal with that state aid reduction.
No, and I appreciate that. I'm trying to wrap my head around what would have happened if the budget didn't change at all. We still, even if we still got the funding that we were expecting before all of our legislators voted for this loss of aid for Hillsborough, before they voted for that, we would have had an unsustainable budget for this calendar year, and we would have had to been going out most likely for a referendum, regardless.
It wouldn't have been as high, certainly.
Yeah.
But I would talk with the board. I mean, it's a hypothetical. We would have conversations about it. But our issues in terms of where we are with state aid was unsustainable before we got the cut.
Yeah.
In fact, in 2009, and this is very important, 2009, we had $1 million more in state aid than we have now. And it's remained flat for 7 years. And now it's going to start to go down. That's
I mean,
very
we can talk to
problematic.
you about flat aid, because we know all about that. I mean,
Yep.
I point to Committeeman or former Mayor Sirachi, who loved to tell all the stories about the state aid that we've had flat funded for many years, and them stealing our hard-earned energy tax receipt money.
And I
But-
appreciate that you appreciate the same situation that we're in.
We've been there, we're still there. So I've seen a lot of other municipalities or Board of Educations, they're suing the state of New Jersey right now to get back their aid.
Yep.
If we lost aid, or if we're losing 5.6 million, why haven't we gone down that path and tried to join in and get our money back?
Yeah, I belong to a group of superintendents that are 70 strong. There's 70 districts that are a part of this group that are very concerned about state aid. 8 of them decided to file a lawsuit against the Department of Education in the state of New Jersey. We believe that if they prevail, all of us that are losing state aid will be supported, and it will help us. One of the complicated issues with the School Funding Reform Act of 2008 is how wealth is calculated. So our enrollment remained the same, actually went up a little bit, and yet the state feels we're overaided. We have too much aid. And the reason is that they believe that our wealth is going way, way up. And I'm not sure if we feel that as a community. And unfortunately, the devil's in the details about how they calculate that, how they weight that relative to equalized property valuation. It gets very complicated and very much into the weeds. And when we asked the Department of Education to actually release information about how these decisions are being made, we were refused the Oprah request. So that's one of the reasons why some of my colleagues are actually suing the state to get that information through a subpoena process.
You're saying the Department of Education has refused to show how the formula is done?
There's some complexity within the formula that we want to become very transparent, that they have not been transparent about.
Well, I hope their lawsuits are successful.
I think our clerk is sitting there stunned that an Oprah was rejected, because
Yeah.
we spend more than our fair amount of time responding to Oprah requests.
Yep, yep. But you know very well
Yeah.
that a public body has very few ways not to present information when requested through
Yeah.
an open public records request.
So I just, one last question. So if this passes,
Yes.
and we move to full-day kindergarten, I assume in September of 1920 school
Yes.
year,
Yep.
do we have the room to house the children? I mean, I see the pictures of the overcrowding.
Yes.
So where do we stick the kids?
Well, part of the referendum is for temporary spaces, and those temporary spaces will be used for office space, will be used for small group instructional space, maybe be used for special area space. But we're going to free up room in our elementary schools for the kindergartens. We're not going to put the kindergartners out in the temporary facilities. Those modular classrooms, by the way, are air-conditioned, they're very large, and we currently have 2 at Triangle School.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Doug took most of my thunder, which he usually does.
Sorry.
But that's okay. So with regards to the kindergarten and the funding that is increased by counting a student as a full student
Yes.
versus the monies that are cost to build the temporary structures,
Yes.
do you anticipate the increase in funding that you would receive because of counting kids as a full student?
We actually did an analysis of that, and it's not additional aid, it's going to be less of a cut, is what it is. So after 4 years, the difference between our state aid anticipated full-day versus half-day program is a little over $3 million, which is what we anticipate the program's going to cost. So it makes sense for us to look at full-day kindergarten not just as something that sprung out of the strategic plan, is very good investment for early childhood education, helps prepare our youngest kids for first grade, gets them on the right glide path, closes achievement gaps, all of those good educational reasons. But there's also financial reason that we can only activate by putting that into the funding formula. So we'll decrease the reduction by close to $3 million after the third, fourth year.
All right, and to follow that, the number of full-time kindergarten students coming into the township over, say, the next 5 years, relatively flat, increase, decrease?
Our demographer is indicating that we're going to have growth within the next 5 years of between 4 and 9%. And the reason why it's such a wide range is due to the COA obligations and other changes that you know much more about than I do. So, but it is going to grow. And that's one of the other reasons that we're looking at a referendum in the fall to help us address some of our growth issues. So that's a very important thing, and I'm sure I'm going to be coming back in the fall to talk more about that.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, can we open up to the public? Do I need a motion?
Make a motion? Go ahead. We need to get a mic over there.
Any comments from the public?
So just with getting back to the
You
question.
have to state your name
Come on,
and address for the
come
record.
on,
Oh
you
my
know the
God.
routine.
It's not your first rodeo.
Excuse me, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
I can't believe that. Come on.
Carl Sferaci, Simonson Lane, Hillsborough. I've been out a month and a half, not with the routine. So getting back with the kindergarten, okay, $3 million for kindergarten. So you're expecting to receive $3 million in, I'll say, increased aid from what?
The difference
Having
between the
full-time.
two, right. The difference between full-day K and half-day K in terms of the anticipated aid that we would receive. Sorry. The difference that we would receive in terms of state aid from full-day K versus half-day K, remember it's being phased out during the next 6 years under both scenarios. The difference between the two is about $3 million between the third and the fourth year.
So that's after the fade out. So it's not $3 million a year, so it's still going to cost us a little bit of money versus what we'll see use the 6-year period.
Right, that's right, but we would have full-day K, sure.
And I'm going to go with the, so with the $5 million, because I understand the anticipated, and I know the township, not only flat funded, if you want to call zero flat funded, but that's where the township is standing at. But with the $5 million, that's a gradual decline. So what this referendum is asking for the money up front. I'm just wondering if there was any consideration to think, because I know you had said not to go every year out to referendum.
Yeah.
And I know the fire district, that seems to be what they're doing currently, is to go every year. And just wondering if that was given any consideration.
Yeah, just to clarify, it's not that we're front-loading the $5 million. The $5 million represents costs that are above the 2% cap, as well as the costs of the reduction of state aid. So healthcare is going up by almost $2 million. We have additional costs within the budget that rise above 2%, which specifically, some of those costs are for our neediest kids. And this is something I didn't say before, but it's very, very important. The state aid calculation for special education shortchanges Hillsborough Township Public Schools this year alone by $1.5 million. Every year, they are underfunding special education That is unconscionable. In fact, in this state, the way that you get your aid for special education students is based upon the average amount of students who receive services in the state. The average is 14.92. If you're above 14.92, which we are by about a point, you're a loser. If you're below that, you actually get aid for students that you don't have. That's wrong. That's wrong. And we're actually being punished for that because we're a center of excellence. People move to Hillsborough Township to enjoy the quality of our special education programs. So it's not that we're overclassifying children. Children are moving into our district, and we don't get aid for them. That's wrong.
Yeah, has our representatives or assemblymen, I mean, I know we have one lives in town. I mean, has he weighed in and maybe perhaps offered to, introduce some legislation to reverse that?
Yeah, I have had conversations with Andrew Zwicker, with Roy Fryman. I've also spoken with Kip Bateman about this issue, and I'm pleased to report that I'm going to have a meeting with Assemblyman Zwicker, Assemblyman Fryman, and the Speaker of the Assembly, Assemblyman Coughlin, next week to discuss this very issue, because I believe legislatively it has to change. And there are ways and mechanisms to help ease this process along that doesn't have the unintended consequence of hurting kids in good, high-performing districts that are efficiently run.
But to be clear, they all voted yes to reduce funding for Hillsborough. I can't stress that enough. That's a shame. We are not overfunded, but all three did vote yes.
And I guess going, looking forward in the fall, what's the timing of that referendum? Could that go into the November general election?
Yeah, we don't have exact timing on that yet. And the reason is a high school, as you can imagine, is much more complex. And land acquisition is a very important part of it. So we're not talking publicly about any negotiations that are going on at this point, but we anticipate that around the March timeframe, we'll have a better sense of that. The lead time is about 6 months, and that could put us into a September referendum. There's only 5 dates that legally a school district is allowed to put something on the ballot, so it could be September, November, or December, and we're just looking at the timing of it.
And probably the last thing, because I know when on this township committee, about 8 years ago, when we saw that the cap was reduced on us from 4 to 2%. I know it's safer for me to say it here than at a school board meeting, but any talks about revisiting some of the current collective bargaining agreements, because I know, those are obviously, are probably the biggest cost drivers at this point, whether to help out, the district, with the fiscal issues right now.
Yeah, we're currently in negotiations right now, but I can tell you that we can build a budget around a particular expenditure, like for healthcare. If it's known, what happens is that you get hit with these increases that are so far out of the reasonable realm of regular cost increases that it eats other parts of your budget. So even if there's a reduction here, a reduction there, it's about the increase annually, year after year, that's very, very difficult to manage and creates some instability within your budget, your program, your planning, and expectations like that. Not that dissimilar from the challenges that the township faces, certainly. But we serve children, and many of them move into our district with with a variety of different needs, and they deserve the highest quality education that we can provide. And I am concerned that with these reductions, if we need to make the cuts that we have, it's going to be much, much more difficult to meet the individual needs of the kids in our care.
All right. I guess that's probably all I have for right now. So, yeah, thank you for coming and sharing this with everyone.
Thank you, Carl. It's good to see you on this side, right? Thank you. I do want to take this as an opportunity to say thank you to the members of the Township Committee. All of you have participated in activities in our school. You're an integral part of that. That doesn't happen in every community, and I wanted to say thank you. There rarely is a time that you present a proclamation that isn't complimenting what our students or staff are doing. And it is deeply appreciated, and we really thank you for that. And we hope that you can support our work with this referendum as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go, anybody else from the public want to? Okay. Dr. Schiff, thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks.
Okay, before we leave, I just want to make sure everyone was clear. So the referendum will actually be on March the 12th, will be on the ballot. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. For that special election for the school district. The polling locations will be a little different than a traditional general election. We'll have locations here at the municipal building, at the high school, the middle school, Woods Road Firehouse, and Mary Mother of God Church. So please refer to your ballot that you'll receive in the mail for your polling location, which may change for this special election. Just want to make sure everyone's clear that some of the locations will change. Or you can visit the New Jersey Elections website at www.njelections.org, and you can click on Find Your Polling Location. The voter registration deadline has passed. It was Tuesday, February the 1st. So all of those that are registered, again, that will be
Mayor,
on.
it's Tuesday, February 19th.
No, I'm sorry. 19, not first. So you still have a little time if you want to.
Never mind.
No, it's still passed. No,
Today's
It's next Tuesday, sir.
next Tuesday, Jesus. Today's the 12th. My goodness. All right, so
Thursday's
next
Valentine's
Tuesday.
Day.
You got a week. So we'll be, just check out the polling locations. Dr. Schiff, I'd like to thank you for coming in and sharing that information, and thank you for your comments. We certainly love participating in some of the school events similar to the Winter Guard Festival that I got a chance to do. So thank you for that, and we're happy to attend as need be. Please keep us up to date on anything you need from us. Okay? That concludes our proclamations and presentations for this evening. Congratulations to all of our recipients, and thank you to Dr. Schiff for his presentation. We'll take a brief pause, and then we'll reconvene with our meeting. Okay, we're going to go back to our agenda. We have no new business this evening, so we're going to move to public comment on new business or matters that are not on the agenda. If anyone from the public would like to comment on the agenda, now's your time to come forward. Okay, seeing none, we're going to move to public hearings. First up is 2019-01, which authorizes the acceptance of deed of dedication for Old Champlain Road right-of-way for the property identified on the Hillsborough tax map as Block 66.01, Lot 2. This is a requirement of the planning board process and has been reviewed and found acceptable by the township attorney. Municipal land use law requires an ordinance to effectuate the acceptance of this property. May I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2019-01?
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any discussion from the dais? From the floor? Okay, can I have a motion to close the public hearing and adopt ordinance 2019-01?
Moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Holmes.
Yes.
Committeeman Lapani.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
And Mayor Delcor.
Yes. Now we'll move to the introduction of new ordinances. First up is ordinance 2019-03, which is an ordinance adopting a redevelopment plan for the properties identified on the official tax map of Hillsborough as Block 86, Lot 21, and Block 90, Lot 6.01. Further consideration of this ordinance and a public hearing will be held on March the 12th, 2019. The introduction of this ordinance is the first step towards the adoption of a redevelopment plan for what is known as the Sherman Tract, which is located off of Champlain Road. This 65-acre parcel was purchased by the township in 2018 for the production of affordable housing in an effort to meet our court-imposed affordable housing obligation. The redevelopment plan establishes the land use standards under which the housing would be developed on this site. The plan will now be referred to the planning board for their comments, which will take place on February the 28th, after which the Township Committee will consider the plan for adoption at the public hearing on March the 12th. Can I have a motion to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
Second?
Any comments from the dais?
I have a question.
Sure.
As far as, I had a question about potential redevelopers and how many would we look at? How would we advertise to people to give, to work with us? Like, I'm looking at 5.4 redeveloper designation agreement that upon the request of the Township Committee, potential developers will be required to submit their qualifications. I'm wondering how many we're going to be looking at with this project and how we're going to find them.
So there are, maybe I can have Mr. Maskey come up, and he's probably better suited to answer that question. No, you can come up to the dais, Dave, if you want. Yeah. Yeah.
The, choosing a redeveloper for the property is not something that has to be bid out like you might for another contract. It would be up to the Township Committee to decide who would fill that role. And you would go through a resolution identifying a particular redeveloper for the tract. It doesn't have to be advertised, doesn't have to be put out. You could go 1, you could go 2, 3, whatever, but in essence, it's up to the Township Committee who they choose.
So, because it's public property, it doesn't have to be put out to bid?
No, the idea of, it's an area in need of rehabilitation, which was designated by the Township Committee last year, and that puts you into the redevelopment process under the Local Redevelopment and Housing Act. One of the opportunities that gives you is that you can transfer property without bid, because it's under a redevelopment plan.
I see. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I would just say that this is utilizing a tract that's been on our roll in town for years, that was prior designated for development, that was never developed and abandoned, and will allow us to move our COA to an area without disturbing some major parts of our town. So I think it is a win for the township.
Yeah, this is, as we've talked about many times on this dais, this is not an issue that any of us would, I think, prefer to be doing in terms of redevelopment for affordable housing. However, the requirements that will be placed on the municipality are such, because of the affordable housing obligations that each municipality will be subject to, require that we have a plan in place. And part of our plan being in place means taking this tract and completing the redevelopment plan and allowing that to be used for what we will anticipate being some of our obligations going forward. I think certainly the preference would be if our legislators in Trenton worked out an arrangement so that we didn't have the obligation that we know is forthcoming under prior, that we have under prior rounds and that we anticipate is coming under the current round. But it is a requirement that we need to meet. We have consistently met our obligations in the past, so that we can avoid any type of developer remedy, and we will continue to do that. So any comments from the floor? Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion to close and adopt, is that?
No, this is a motion to introduce. I need a second.
I'll make a second.
Sorry, got a motion to introduce.
Thank you.
I
Okay.
think Sean did first, I'll take second.
Committee,
Sure.
you had taken comments, sir, and then Committeeman Lapani motioned and Deputy Mayor Thompson second.
Okay, so we did dais and the floor. Roll call.
Thank
please.
you.
Thank you.
Committeewoman Holmes,
Yes.
Committeeman Lapani,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Yes, but Mayor, I wasn't going to say anything, but I just changed my mind. I think you were being way too kind when you were talking about affordable housing, and I did my best not to say anything, but our legislative leaders have failed us in this regard, as well as the state. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue, which I've stressed time and time again. It has been kicked down the road from Whitman to McGreevy to Cody to Corzine to Christie to Murphy. We have not addressed this issue. In fact, it's only gotten worse, and no one is stepping up and saying that suburban municipalities are being choked out by these obligations. There are towns across the state of New Jersey that are bulldozing wetlands and bulldozing environmentally sensitive areas in the highlands, just to name one area, to meet an obligation that's arbitrarily introduced by the state and a third-party intervener. That is patently unfair to this municipality and the municipalities across the state. I don't know how it gets better, but when we have our school board coming in and talking about building a new school, this is a direct result of forced building in this municipality. There's no other way to say it. It is forced building in this municipality. And when people say you have a 400 obligation for affordable housing, that means 1,200 units. That's not 400. That's 1,200 units there. Or when we get threatened with 1,000, that's not just 1,000, that's 4,000 units. People need to understand what's being forced upon us, and it's wrong. I vote yes so we don't get arbitrarily sued by a developer. We have no choice, and it's a shame. And I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad you said it. It was, it's where we are, and it's something we've been harping on for many, many years now. And a resolution has to happen, but until it does, we can't subject ourselves to builder litigation, so that's too much risk. Did you call me? Sorry.
Mayor Delcor.
Yes.
I wasn't going to say anything. I really tried.
It's okay. Thank you, David. I appreciate your answering that question for us. Okay, we'll move on to ordinance 2019-04, which is an ordinance authorizing the second amendment to the ground lease at communication site between the Township of Hillsborough and T-Mobile Northeast for the lease of additional ground space at the municipal complex property block 149.01 and lot 1.02. Further consideration of this ordinance and a public hearing will be held on March the 12th, 2019. This ordinance will authorize additional space for a concrete pad and generator to service the T-Mobile equipment in the event of a power disruption. Can I have a motion to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the dais? Any comments from the floor? Seeing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Committeewoman Holmes,
Yes.
Committeeman Lapani.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Mayor Delcor.
Yes. 2019-05 is an ordinance amending and supplementing Part 2 of the general legislation, Chapter 231, Property Maintenance of the Code of the Township of Hillsborough, through the addition of an Article 3, which is residential properties. Further consideration of this ordinance and a public hearing will be held on March the 12th, 2019. The current property maintenance code, which is Chapter 231, only applies to non-residential and multifamily dwellings, which is Article 1, and vacant and abandoned residential properties, which is Article 2. This proposed ordinance will add a new Article 3, which for setting minimum property maintenance standards for residential properties. At the request of our engineering and public works departments, this ordinance also seeks to address property owner responsibility for right-of-way maintenance, things such as tree branches in the right-of-way, overgrowth, etc. May I have a motion to introduce this ordinance?
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Any comments from the dais?
I have one, Mayor. I think this gives our municipality some meat, so to speak, to when people are called with complaints. It gives our inspectors some guidelines on what we can do. We've heard in the past about people have called in with some complaints that the year, there really wasn't any guidelines, so I think this just tightens that up for our inspectors.
Thanks. Anything else from the dais? Any comments from the floor? Can I have a roll call, please?
Committeewoman Holmes,
Yes.
Committeeman Lapani,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson,
Yes.
Mayor Delcor.
Yes. And now we'll move on to resolutions. I believe we have 17 resolutions on the agenda. Does anyone on the dais wish to take any of the items separately? Okay, seeing none. A few items to note. Resolutions 1 and 2, I'd like to thank some of our volunteers for serving on our local boards and commissions, in this case, Stephen Mastropolito and Frank Scarantino. Resolutions 3, 4, and 5 are annual agreements that we execute through the Health Department, particular item number 5, in which we are in a shared services agreement with Branchburg and Montgomery for some health services programs. We are always looking to increase our shared services with some of our surrounding municipalities in order to keep costs down for our taxpayers. Item number 6, I'd like to thank Affinity Credit Union for their continued support of our rewards program. I believe this program is now, their sponsorship of the program is going to be extended for another 2 years. As a result of this, I think many of you have seen the awards that we give out as a result of the credit card. So I'd like to thank Affinity for their support of the community. And resolution number 10, which allows for Hillsborough Township to continue to take a proactive role in authorizing reimbursement for 100% qualified veterans for the municipal portion of their tax bill. And finally, we have 2 new employees I'd like to recognize, or that we'll be voting on this evening. Russ Sarace, who's joined us here, is going to join us in our recreation department, and we're going to get him on camera so he can smile nice. And Michael Basil is going to join us in the Department of Public Works, and those are resolutions 14 and 15. So may I have a motion to approve all of the above resolutions?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the dais?
Mayor, as you mentioned, Mr. Sarace is going to be joining us in recreation. Myself and Mr. Wagner and Mr. Dunn have gone through the interviewing process, and with his background through school, with a recreation degree, some of the volunteerism that he's done throughout the years here in the township makes him a great candidate, especially with customer service and his background, his employment. So definitely welcome aboard and be a great addition to the team.
Thank you. Anything else from the dais? Any comments from the floor? Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
Committeewoman Holmes,
Yes.
Committeeman Lapani,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson,
Yes, congratulations.
and Mayor Delcor.
Yes, welcome. All right, we'll move on to claims list. May I have a motion to approve claims list 2019-02?
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Any comments from the dais? Comments from the floor? Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Holmes,
Yes.
Committeeman Lapani,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson,
Yes.
Mayor Delcor.
Yes. This does conclude our regular meeting this evening, but we do have an executive session. Ms. Borak, will you please read the executive session resolution?
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 permit the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Township Committee is of the opinion that such circumstances exist, now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Hillsborough and the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey as follows. Number 1, the public shall be excluded from the discussion of the hereinafter specified subject matter. Number 2, the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Litigation, affordable housing, Weston Road, Block 185, Lot 1.05, contract negotiations, attorney-client privilege. Number 3, the Township Committee may take official action on those items discussed in the executive session upon the completion of the executive session. Number 4, the minutes of those discussions shall be made available to the public as soon as the matters are no longer under confidential or sensitive nature. Number 5, this resolution to take effect immediately.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Comments from the dais? Comments from the floor? Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Holmes.
Yes.
Committeeman Lapani.
Yep.
Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Mayor Delcor.
Yes, thank you. We are adjourned. We're going to go into executive session. Have a good night.